Hello, everyone, and thanks for joining us. Today, we're back with New York Times and USA Today best-selling author Lisa Renee Jones. Hey, Lisa, welcome back.
Hi, so happy to be back.
So happy to have you back. And today, I want to discuss writing topics and tips with you. So, your books span a very wide range of genres, from contemporary romance to paranormal fiction. How do you approach genre blending, and what advice do you have for authors looking to write across multiple genres as well?
I do write in multiple genres. I actually have L.R. Jones as my thrillers. And I will tell you, I think a different name is an important factor, and I'll tell you why. When I first released a book called The Poet, which is a thriller, Walmart really wanted me to use Lisa Renee Jones. And I was very nervous about that because it is a serial killer who puts poems in people's mouths, the victims, no romance at all. And I was very nervous about using my romance name. Not to mention, like, I have a husband who loves thrillers, but he won't read somebody he sees a bunch of romances on their, search engine.
Mm-hmm.
So I was worried about that for so many reasons. So what happened was Barnes and Noble put Lisa Renee Jones, um, the poet, in romance and would not move it. I mean, we fought with them
Mm-hmm.
and fought with them. And I'm like, okay, this is going to upset my readers. It's going to upset everyone. And also, you have to be very careful with print because there's something called sell through. If you say have a print run of 50,000, you need to sell a lot of those, have a what they call a good sell through, or else they won't buy you again. So being placed in the wrong section, not selling a lot of books because of that, can actually hurt your career, have long
Mm.
lasting effects. So I strongly suggest that if you're going to do anything that's a major genre change, to change names. If it's just a matter of blending, I mean, I don't think that readers have a problem with that. So many authors are crossing over and writing a romance that has some paranormal elements or not. I always have. I've written paranormal. Like, my very first deal was I signed a paranormal romance deal with Harlequin, and then 2 weeks later signed a straight contemporary deal. So I oddly had two editors at Harlequin, which was not normal at the time. But and they didn't worry about it, and I didn't either. But I just think it's more when you make a genre shift that it's a big deal.
Yeah, I can see that. And with series like Inside Out and Careless Whispers that you've created, they have extensive storylines and interconnected characters. So, what are your top tips for maintaining consistency in depth in long running series like those?
I just love getting to know characters well, but it's a pacing issue. So you have to make sure you don't give everything away early, that you're
Mm.
teasing, and Inside Out and Careless Whispers are connected series, but they have the same mystery going on. And so dropping little clues to that mystery, keeping people going with that. And a lot of that can be having a good game plan going into it, what you would call a Bible for the series, so you know where you're going. um, I tend to just have a good broad overview, and then I was experienced enough by the time I got to Inside Out that I knew how to pace it to do that. I knew where my cliffhanger was going to be for book one and where that took me. I knew where book two took me, but I didn't know all the guts inside. Um, that's fun for me to explore as I'm writing it. But I think that pacing is so important. And I don't think when I signed my first Harlequin contract in 2007, I could have written Inside Out. I didn't have the skills to do
Mm.
it. I wrote that 5 years later after I wrote like 20 category novels before I ever started writing mainstream. And I worked with a lot of great, surprisingly, people are like, oh, it's category romance. What are you going to learn writing category romance? They have amazing editors over there. They taught me things that I repeat to people now. I mean, the editors that are editing for a category are also editing for the big New York Times bestsellers too.
Right.
So they taught me things that helped me develop. So I think it's just making sure that if you're going to do that, you're also ready. You want it to be the best it can possibly be. So I had actually started writing Inside Out years before and kept setting it aside. But then when I picked it up, I was like, I'm ready. And
Mm.
when I said that, I actually changed the point of view I wrote it in. to first person from third and rewrote it, and that made it magic.
Wow, well, that's very interesting. Just kind of the progression and the growth of your character as a writer. And speaking of characters, how how do your novels that often involve these complex characters with intricate backstories, how do they develop over time, these characters? And what techniques do you use as a writer to make them feel authentic and real to your readers?
Well, we as human beings are flawed. So
Hmm,
if you have a character who's not flawed, they're not very relatable at
right.
all. So I think it's very important to know going into it who your characters are. If I don't know the characters, I can't write the story. So the first thing I do is I start with characters and I say, who are these people? What have they been through? And that in itself, if you don't know who they are, how do you know how they respond to things? I mean, how you respond to the most basic things in life
Hmm,
have to do with who you are as a person. You don't even realize that until you sit down and try and write a character and you go, oh, but she doesn't like coffee because her dad used to, bitch about coffee because, it caused cancer or whatever, even though it doesn't cause cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
whatever it is, every little tiny things affect the character. And I think that newer writers don't always know that. I don't think I knew that when I first went into it, but I had some good editors that went, Lisa, but why are they doing that? What is their motivation? So,
Right.
so that know the characters. I can't stress that enough. And even if the story is plot driven, not character driven, there are characters within that story helping to drive
Hmm,
that plot too.
right. And you can always relate to a character that's
Yeah.
flawed. I
Yeah.
definitely agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. Even
And
if it's not you, it's somebody you know.
right, right. Oh, so and so should read this. You're just like Sally.
Yeah. What's funny, I was just talking about one of my category editors. One of the things, so when I was early in category, I was always trying to kill people off and on. They're like, Lisa, it's category. You're not supposed to be killing people. So my editor negotiated with me, can we kill only one person per book? But and I loved writing really evil bad guys. And she's like, well, here's how you write a really great evil bad guy, Lisa. She said, if they're relatable. Like she said,
Mhm.
it freaks people out because she said, what if you see a little bit of yourself in this serial killer or whoever they might be, and you're like, oh, or somebody close to you,
Mhm.
or the serial killer has real feelings. You understand, like, why is my ex-wife not letting me see the kids? Like things
Mhm.
that people can relate to.
Right.
And so I held that close to me. Like when I'm writing characters that are the bad guys, sometimes the reason you can't figure out that they're the bad guy is because you make them seem so human. That character development being so important. I mean, when I wrote Inside Out, I mean, it has so many flawed characters. So the
Mm.
great thing about that was I had so many people I could explore. And also because there were so many important people to that storyline, even the mystery side of it, how they interact and why they're doing some of the things they're doing to other people have to do with, or has to do with their backstory too. So it
Mm.
wasn't enough to just know the hero and the heroine. It had to be all of this cast of characters that I had to know.
Right. I think that's an excellent point. And I love what you said about even these evil characters that we kind of morally stand above high ground in. You start to realize they are people and they've had a past and a backstory, and that's how you start to relate. So, a great point. And I want to transition a little bit and talk about just kind of the suspense element. How do you maintain suspense and engagement throughout your novels?
That again goes back to pacing. Pacing
Mm,
matters. Also, that every chapter has a purpose and it's leading you further into the story. It's putting more tension in the mystery. If I have a chapter and it ends and I go, there was nothing exciting or leading towards the mystery in this chapter, I have to go back. This was a
right.
worthless chapter. So every chapter should have a purpose. And if that means that you have to make it a shorter, more snappy chapter, because that's what gives that chapter that beat to move on to the next one, then that's what I do. I don't, I used to be so obsessed with the chapter needs to be this long. No, not at all. I have chapters that are half a page. I have chapters that are 12 pages. I have chapters that are 20 pages. And actually having a flow of the chapters being different sizes actually does help the pacing of the book, I think.
Well, Lisa, thank you so much. That was wonderful insight on writing topics and tips.
Glad I could help.
That's all the time we have for today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to today's interview with the New York Times and USA Today best-selling author Lisa Renee Jones. Be sure to check out our website for more videos. Wishing you all a fulfilling and successful writing journey.